Hi guys, welcome to chapter 11 of this video tutorial series. In this chapter, we'll be discussing about something called transactions. You must have heard the word transaction many a times when you go to the bank, when you deposit money to some other account, or when you withdraw money from some other account. That is referred to as transaction. In the similar way, in SQL, transaction refers to the command that has been given to a particular database. Either it is to get the data, that is a select statement, or an update statement, that is to update the existing data. All these commands are referred to as transactions. Now, transaction can be a single select statement or multiple select statements, a single update statement or a multiple update statement. So in order to understand the concept of transactions, let us take an example of an ATM machine. And let's say that John goes to the ATM machine and he wants to withdraw $1,000 from his account. Now, as soon as John enters the ATM card and he enters the amount as well as the authorized code, the system crashes. So what happens under this condition is John will get a message that $1,000 has been deducted from his account, even though he hasn't got the money physically. So under these conditions, what the backend system would ultimately have to do is they will have to roll back whatever the transaction that has happened so that the $1,000 are reflected against John's account. So this is how it happens in real world scenarios. But in order to understand in terms of terminologies, you have something called commit and you have something called rollback. So commit is when John enters the amount and he gets the money physically in his hands. But in case of rollback, as the command that has been issued against a particular table inside a particular database has to be rolled back or reversed back. So this is how the transactions work in SQL Server. As I told you, see, the transaction can be a single statement or a bunch of statements. So far, whatever we have studied, we haven't talked about much about rollback transactions. We have studied only about committing the transactions. This is because SQL Server by default supports committed transactions only. So what it means is whenever you issue any command against a SQL Server, that will be permanently be effected or executed so that the results or the data that is stored inside the database is consistent at all the times. And this is one of the properties of maintaining the RDBMS. So if you study any of the RDBMS books, the first thing that the book will say is that the data should remain consistent in the database. Uh, just look for ACID property, ACID, on Google and you will be able to find tons of articles. Explaining that at this point of time will take a lot of time and that requires a different section altogether. So moving on, let's take the practical aspect of it.